Do not be anxious. Do not worry about tomorrow. A wise teacher once said in confidence. He clearly knew something we didn't. I mean, out of all the 7 billion plus people in this world, surely we each have a nugget of wisdom to share. If only we could take the time to stop, ask and listen to the answers, or even give an answer ourselves, because we've gone through it before. You want wisdom? Just ask for it. Welcome to Living Brave Podcast. I'm Gugulethu Nkutha. So we're going to go into, I think, your baby.
Yeah.
You know, of all the babies that take priority, I think this is your baby.
Yes.
And I've seen you, you know, giving birth to this baby.
Yes.
I remember, you know, when you started going into it, you know, we spoke about the brands. And even when you started it, I remember I thought, hey, perfumes, I wonder, because at first I felt it's a saturated market.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many colognes and perfume.
Yes.
It's an industry of what? What is this industry? It's a what is it? Is it retail? Cosmetics.
Beauty, cosmetics.
Beauty and cosmetics.
Beauty and
cosmetics.
Yeah.
So you've got a brand here in front of me, which we will get to share.
Yeah.
I'll post also.
Yes.
It's Safi Fragrances.
Yes.
All right. So you've gone as far as a black entrepreneur, a black young man in an industry, which, I mean, even myself personally, as a lady, cosmetic and beauty, I know the brands out there. You know, whether, I mean, I look at my favorite on a summer day, it's Dolce & Gabbana, light blue.
Yes.
I look at on a nice evening, is it Crush by Kenzo?
Yes.
You know, then you get your Pradas, I mean, there is so many. And you see all these, you know, people who are into pop culture, celebrities, perfume. And perfume, it's as you said before, it's a signature.
Yes.
You know, smelling good. A woman or a man that smells good always takes the cab.
100%.
I mean,
yes.
You know, sometimes we know that other smell.
Yes.
that you know, and that is something where it's a personal investment.
Yeah.
So you've gone into beauty and cosmetic, and I think you are doing such a great job on it.
Thank you.
The way you are taking care of the brand. Do you just walk us through the brand itself, the cologne, and why you chose the specific industry?
Yes.
Out of all the industries you could have chosen, I mean, you're a young man, you could have gone into sneakers, you could have gone into shoes, you could have gone into watches, jewelry. What else is there that you guys like? You could have gone to alcohol. Okay, never mind that you're a Christ believer or not, but if money was the driver, you could have gone into those. Why beauty?
And wine, you know.
You could, yes, I've seen you with. These days, I see you wine always.
You know,
I always see you. You know, the other day I was looking at your Instagram, I'm like, is this whiskey or is this? But I thought, hey, let me not judge. Get into people's. There's a photo of yours where with your blue suit. I just needed to zoom in. Then I remembered, hey, I also have my days when I post. No one knows when I'm drinking grape juice or is it wine. So why the specific industry? Yeah.
So basically, it how can I put it? It's a story of how when we were going through lockdown, right? And obviously the money was not there. No? Yeah. So since the money was obviously not coming in as much as it used to come, because I used to buy, you know, like obviously the original perfumes and so on and so on. I'd spend 1,000 rand, 1,005, which was good and nice, you know. And then when the money now is not there, now I have to use in fact, not even when the money is not there, my priorities change, right? And then now I have to prioritize my funds to something much more important, you see. So I obviously, you know, try to find cheap alternatives, but the quality was not good.
Okay.
And by default, as I was just going around, you know, a specific industrial area, I walk into this place. So I'm like, what do you guys do? They're like, we actually, you know, sell perfume oil for people who want to get into, you know, the perfume business, right? And I thought to myself, I'm like, no, man, I see these things being sold at, what do you call this, pharmacies, right? And I was like, no, man, you know, chances are it's easy to make it, you know. And yeah, and actually when I did my research and I checked with suppliers, it was actually very easy, you know. So now, after I discovered that, I was like, now how do I create a good quality product? Because I go out there and I buy these cheaper ones and the quality is not good, you know. And then I had to find out that no, man, not everyone who's a supplier supplies good perfume oil, or they import from the right place.
And you're right. I don't believe in cheap perfumes.
Yes, 100%.
I always believe it's like a shoe.
Yeah.
You can invest in hundreds of shoes which are cheap,
Yes.
but wearing them after an hour
Yes.
versus having two pairs that are of good brand, affordable pricing, of expensive, but you know that they will last you longer and they are comfortable. And perfume for me is also that way.
100%.
I don't know how many times people have always tried to convince me to say, there's a cheap somewhere, Chinatown. It's this, it smells the same way as Gucci. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
The fact that it's there and it's not here, it's no. I'm not gonna. Oh, it's 200 versus the 800 rand I need to.
100%. Yeah. So obviously, like I said, you know, I had to find a cheaper alternative, right? But good quality.
Okay.
Because what I also realized is doing my research is that these big brands is actually all about marketing. There are actually some original perfumes where the quality is not that great. Longevity is not there. Performance is not there, you know. So obviously, when I obviously did my research, I found the right suppliers, and yeah, you know, and then obviously, you know, they
And in South Africa.
and in South Africa, you know. So when I found the right suppliers, I obviously started doing my research. I researched and I found out that I'm not sure if I should mention brands, but there's a Skins Cosmetics that I didn't know. I only knew Edgar's Foschini, you know, just the normal stuff that you know. You know, and I checked that. I was like, how no, they sell perfumes for this price. And I remember I wrote down some of these names and I went to a supplier and they said, I've got this. And I smelled this and I was blown away, you know. And what I did is that they give you certain types of like measurements, right? So yes, on the like how the ratio in which you mix the perfume oil and the perfume base and so on, right? So what I did is that they gave me a certain type of dosage. I doubled up on the dosage. So I said, look, I'm in the business of making a good quality product. I want to make a cheaper product, even though I'm not gonna make as much money as I would if I not cheat the system, but use their recommendation. But let me double up on stuff to create so I spend more money, but I create a good quality product. And
actually, those are the fundamentals of building a good brand. Start right in the beginning. The disciplines of it. Don't cheat the system.
I wanted repeat customers. I remember that's what I said. I said I wanted repeat customers. You know. So how I started actually is that I actually started buying from a supplier. But the quality was not good. And I was like, no, man. That means that because I was scared to start and mix them myself. But when I made my first product, I remember I gave it to the first client that I sold the stuff that I used to buy and resell. Same product. And they were like blown away. They're like, dude, the quality is so different. This is amazing. And I remember that from that first sale of my own stuff, it made him refer me to his dad, to someone else, a boyfriend's friend. You understand what I'm saying? So, and then I got to a point where I was like, yeah, now I've created this product that is good quality, you know, at a cheaper rate. So now I feel like I'm able to help other people who are in my shoes, who say, hey, I don't have a 1,000 rand, 2,000, 5,000 rand to spend on perfume, but I can give them something, same quality. At a cheaper rate.
When you told me your pricing, I wouldn't say they're cheap. And please, because cheap doesn't sell out there. 100%. So when we are talking about Ebenezer's pricing, we are not talking 150, 200, which is what people will tell you, go buy Gucci for 100. But your pricing, I mean, you were talking about 500 rand, 600. So it's a good pricing for that middle class segmentation, you know, that target audience.
So I've got prices that range from 250 to let's say 600. Good quality. And then the in terms of the size of the perfume bottles, it's 50 mils. So I'm not selling you 100 mils for 250 so it's 50 mils.
So that's value for money.
100%. So that means that if I was selling for 100 mils, the price would be double.
Actually, at retail store, 50 mils, you can even get it at even 500,
Yeah,
600,
yes,
because of the quality and the brand behind.
100%.
Sure.
So that's what I do. So I get some of these brands, right, that are not known, and I educate people about them. And I'm like, guys, there's more to this than the normal stuff that you guys know about. And they're shocked, and especially when I even go on the internet, I say, look, check how much the original price is costing. And I'm very open with people. I tell them, guys, this does not smell exactly like it. It smells similar to it. It's an impression of it. It's inspired by it.
Yes.
Right? So basically it gives people that experience of saying, oh, this
It's
is
aspirational.
100%. 100%.
So that's what we call aspirational, because it's like people who wish to own, to wear like the Louis Vuittons, fake products. But they are trying to be aspirational. So it's someone saying, the day when I can afford it, but this is where I'm going. So you are saying also it's an impression.
Some other perfumes, actually, you might find that they actually smell almost identical to actually the original, whereby someone can tell. It says, are you wearing, for example, someone will say, hey, you're wearing Baccarat Rouge? And I'm like, oh, how did you know? They're like, no, man, I've smelt it. And it's someone who's actually using something from actually the actual shop.
Don't rape the system of what has been put in. Yes.
That's why I even have stickers that said inspired by.
Yeah, you don't take advantage of the brand and the time that it has taken to go into.
That's why even on my disclaimer I say that these brands that are here, they have no affiliation with the original manufacturer or whatever. It's an impression, just to let people know. And I'm honest, no, guys, I'm very honest.
So you use your products. You've stopped using other perfumes. And now you wear your own. You endorse your own.
Yes,
that's good.
Yes, and I'm at a place now where I can afford to actually go back there now again. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But I still choose because I feel like to a certain degree.
No, be loyal to what's yours.
And ultimately, when you put on that perfume and you're walking out there in the street, in the mall, or wherever you're going, or at an event, and you smell good, they don't even know the bottle you're using.
They don't know.
You understand what I'm saying?
But you smell good.
Yes. I look at myself, for example. I've gotten clients even at work where I work, whereby people would say, I want my husband to smell like that.
Sure.
I want my husband to smell like that. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a product that I use myself personally, that I'm very confident in. I use myself. I'm not trying to sell you something that...
So you use your product. You stopped using other perfumes.
And now I'm at
wear your own.
100%. Yes. Yes. And I'm at a place now where I can afford to actually go back there now again. I feel like it's a little bit better, Like, I'm being honest. It's, sometimes I smell some of my stuff and I'm amazed. I'm like, oh, I know. Because
well done, boy. Well done.
You've got it to a point where,
So you called it Safi Fragrances. Maybe just walk us through the name. It's a Swahili name, which means...
So basically, it's associated with, clean and fresh. It's a translation of clean and fresh. So basically what happened is that I was at a point of starting. I was like, I'm done talking. I don't want to go through the whole process of, I just want to start. So at that point, I was like, I just want to start. I just want to start. So I looked for for a word that, basically, means clean and fresh, because that's how I feel when I've, taken a shower and I've got a good outfit on, and then I put good perfume on. I feel clean. I feel fresh, So that's basically the name that I went for, because of that specifically, you see. Yeah. So basically that's the
the background,
the story behind the name.
Okay. So walk me through your distribution.
Okay. So currently, in terms of the distribution, I've got let me say two forms of main distribution. So I've got an agent who works with me. I don't want to say for me, who works with me, because we work very close together. We discuss stuff together. So who works with me, who distributes on my behalf. I obviously give her a commission. And if she reaches certain targets, I give her incentives, and it's someone obviously who I feel like I'm empowering, because I'm also educating through this process, because as my business grows, she grows as well. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And then my other...
So that's your distribution.
Yeah, yes. And then I obviously digitally, I distribute on my social media pages, on Instagram, it's, Safi Fragrances, on Facebook.
I found on Instagram, Safi.
Yes, yeah.
All right. So would you say also if there's any other young people interested, they can contact you,
100%.
become your distributors, then they get a certain commission?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think also, I mean, those are the things I think we can start talking about, expanding. I mean, when you're saying online, you know, there's so many great opportunities to build that customer database. There's brands that you can co-brand with. I think the worst strategy and things that people assume it's around influencer. I don't think that's something you need to look at. If anything, really, if anything, you'll have your products being used, not used, thrown away, just people wanting to try things for free. Don't align yourself, especially those values you were talking about. I know someone, I remember, asked me around the sneaker industry in South Africa, and I said, look, we are doing great, and I see some of the brands, but there's brands also, in as much as there's a reason Nike and Adidas, they're still one of the big brands, because they've kept to their brand essence. Nike is still for athletes who are hardworking. They are super talented. Everyone, we want to aspire to be like them. So the same with brands, that how they choose people who endorse them, even the values, what they stand for, the lifestyle. The last thing you want as a brand is to be always managing your brand because the people endorsing it are not living accordingly. 100%. If it's not their own personal lives into scandals and things, you don't want your brand. 100%. What is your thoughts around that?
You're absolutely right. So I read something, I don't remember, but by someone who said not every influencer is actually, can they actually...
And what is the influencing even about? Because you are into business of selling.
So this person said not every influencer obviously can be relatable, to your target market. You have to make sure that if you get an influencer, they said, in their statement, that they can connect with your target market, So for me personally, I feel like it is effective. Obviously, if you link up with the right people, ultimately, influencers have large audience, in which you'd wanna get. You'd want to get in there.
Good product in people's faces.
Yes, it's in people's faces. But ultimately, I said to someone, I said, if your product is a not good product,
there's no amount of numbers. And
people will buy that product. In fact, it will do you more damage because more people bought that product and they're complaining now. So it's better if at least one bought that whatever. If, let's say in my case, bought that perfume in private and spoke to two people.
And spoke to two people. Yes, who will come back and buy.
100%.
And you've got actual sales, as opposed to giving a product for free, thinking you will reach these created millions of people who will not even come back and buy from you. They're just interested in the lifestyle of that person.
100%. And
so I think the scientific around, which is why my point when we started talking around the going to school, learning these mechanics, as opposed to just going for the sake of we are just selling. We're just gonna do a cut and paste strategy.
No, 100%. Look, and I also look at the fact that with your type of target market or the target market that you go for, you need to connect with them on a personal level. Honestly speaking. So for me personally, I mean, if I was to use an influencer, it would have to be someone who, like I said, who shares more or less the same values, with me, values and beliefs with me. But it needs to be someone who I know my target market would relate to, So for me, I look at, my target market. It's actually like, and I am glad that you also understood this, people who aspire. So it's not people who are well-to-do. So for me personally, I'm being honest, if you can afford to go to a proper place and pay 15 grand for perfume, by all means do that, but for me, my target market is someone who says, I love very nice things, good quality products, but I can't afford to buy them. So let me come to you, Ebenezer, because I know that at a reasonable price, not a very cheap price, but a reasonable price, you'll give me a good quality product that even if I'm in around a space where for example, with perfume, I'm around certain types of people in a sense, in for argument's sake, and I've gotten that perfume on, they'll feel me. They'll feel me. Like, they'll feel me. I won't feel out. They'll feel me, And obviously, that's a confidence booster for you as well. You understand what I'm saying? Because we all like feeling important.
Yes.
That we've got an element of that. It might not be what, obviously consumes us, but we have that element that at some point we just want to feel important. We just want to make, an impression. We just, so for me, I look at it in that regard, to say I actually go for people who, like I said, they've got a taste for nice things, but they can't afford it. So, for example, with designer brands, right, that are sold, at this famous retail stores, some of my guys can afford them, but they can't afford the niche perfumes actually that sell for like $5,000, $6,000. So they come to me because they're like, dude, you give us something that is out of this world. We know how much this thing costs. So, hey, bruh, So I think that's the fun element of it, and the whole educational part of it, to say, guys.
I mean, you see it. That's what even car brands have done.
Yeah.
That's what even big quality, high niche brands have done. Gucci, they've now got affordable clothing range lines for people who want to wear Gucci, but not the premium expensive.
Yes.
So many brands, cars, example, because you are fighting for market share. Someone who wants to drive an E-Class, C-Class, guess what? You've got a B-Class, an A-Class, which is probably equivalent to a today people don't realize that a Polo and a A-Class Mercedes, they're targeting at the same, new graduates out of school, or professionally, professional entrants, those who are coming in. So even brands, you have to diversify. Diversification is very important. That's why, if you remember the Boston Matrix, you always have the four, which is your stars, your cows, your dogs, and what's the other one? I forgot the fourth one. But where you can diverse, so it's the cash cows, it's the stars, it's the dogs. What's the other one? I'll look at it now. So you look at brands like that who are actually saying, we don't want to lose our market share, but we want to make sure that we compete with other brands, so that we don't lose the money. We end up creating a brand that is aspirational and cheaper. It doesn't get you to the C class. Maybe one day at 50, you work hard, you do well for yourself, you can afford. So the stars, the cash cows, the dogs, and the question marks. So that's the Boston Matrix. So where you have to put your products. One day you might end up saying, look, we've got the 500 and so, but there might be someone who says, look, I can afford a 2,000, 3,000. I might not afford the 15,000, but I'm willing to pay 3,000. Can you make me something? Then now you are growing into a new market.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's actually something that I was thinking, it's actually something that I'm going to do, actually. It's a given.
That's your strategy.
That's actually my strategy. So I'm actually going to have an exclusive range of products that are exclusive to me. So it's not an inspired by, but it's by me specifically. And obviously, in terms of the size of the bottle, it's going to be a bigger bottle, packaged much more expensive, and much more, nice and expensive. And it'll obviously cater to the guys who are willing to spend, more money.
I think a business like this, it doesn't have too many overheads. It's not as if you need an office. You can do it from home. You can go test your products. Bottles, you get them there. The packaging, does it get done at the same factory?
So if you want to start without branding and stuff, 1,000 rand, 500 is a little. It can work.
So that will get you what?
1,000 rand.
Bottles, it gets you one, you sell, you make your money, you buy another one.
So you can get let's say 2 or 3 different fragrances, some bottles,
which you can resell.
Perfume Base mix, and then sell at a margin, and then
come back to restock.
Come back and restock.
And so
yes.
like a good 1,000
Yes.
without the branding, right? And the branding, did you do yourself?
Yes, I did it
You were in
myself.
marketing, so you use
100%.
different tools. I mean, those you can do. You've got Canvas, Canvas, which you can design online things.
I did it on my phone actually.
You did it
in
on your
bed. I
phone.
remember very well. I woke up one day and I said, "No, man, let me get started." So I think for me that was the biggest thing. I was in that. I don't know if maybe the season was right, but I was in the season of action. We're taking action. So I'd wake up in bed and I'd be thinking of something and I'd be like, "Let me play around with this. Let me do this. Let me do this." You know. So for me, that's how I did it. You know. Yeah.
And then how long does it? Is it the same day type or you order today, you test today, or is there a waiting period?
In terms of
when you start. So let's say if I've got 1,000, I go to a certain place. Do I test immediately and I walk out with my product to go and sell?
Yes.
Or do I have a waiting period, wait a day or two?
No.
Just right there. You mix.
No, you mix it. No, you use one, but they've got different types of bottles, you know. And then there's obviously a supplier of that deals with bottles only. Well, bottles, pumps, caps. For example, originals.
Because you spoke about perfumes and cologne. Maybe take us through that. Yeah.
So it depends on the dosage. So, with regards to that, the proper channel is obviously. Let me take you through the process quickly.
Yes, take us through the process.
Obviously, you mix, the perfume oil and the perfume base, right? And then you refrigerate for like 24 hours or 48 hours, depends. And then it takes about maybe refrigerate,
so in a fridge.
Yeah, in a fridge. You freeze or you refrigerate. And then when you pour into your bottles, you filter using a coffee filter, So, and then you can either use a...
So these are oils, or is it original dry ingredients?
No, oils. This is oils, liquids. It's liquids. You're actually mixing liquids, So it depends. So with me, for example, I'm using half the perfume base, which is good. So perfume base is basically what you use to dilute the perfume oil. So the perfume that we spray on, even the most original perfumes, so it's with the designer brands, it's usually 15 to 20%. So 15 to 20% of the oil. So with me, I'm using 30% oil and 70% perfume base, whereby they're using 15 to 20% of the oil.
Oil is the Loma oil.
Yeah, oil is basically your flavor. For lack of a better word, it's your flavor. You see, how to mix your Oros, or your Wild Island.
So
the more Wild Island you put, the more sweeter it is. That's how perfume works. The more the less water you put, let's say the stronger the
concentration.
Yeah. So that's how perfume also works. So that's why you'd find that sometimes you go to a China mall, for example, and you buy something for 80 rand or 50 rand, and you're like, this thing doesn't last. They put very little oil. Very little oil. That's actually what happens.
So also about the alcohol in
So that's the perfume base basically. It's just that some people will say the alcohol or the ethanol, but it's actually called perfume base.
So like in cultures like the Muslim, they don't wear...
some will buy...
They only use oil.
Most of the time.
Not perfume, because of obviously religious reasons. Alcohol cannot be diluted.
Yes. So,
So then you were saying then you'd freeze the and then what happens after the freeze?
And then then you filter and then you can bottle it. So, for example, usually what they say is that they'll tell you that you need to leave it for like a week to mature, right? But that also depends on the amount of for me personally, it also depends on the amount of perfume base that you use. So for example, because I'm using less perfume base, I leave it to mature for like 7 days. But if there's a client who says I want it after a day or two, I'm very confident in my quality because I use less perfume base, so the oil is much more. So it matures. For me personally, I feel like it matures quicker and faster because I've tried it actually, whereby I've mixed something today and then I use it the next day and it's performing well, doing well. And
then the color, I've seen some perfumes are like more goldish. Where do the rose gold and the gold and those colors come from?
The ingredients, how the ingredients from the raw, how the raw ingredients are mixed. And then I think you've also seen with some perfume, you'd find that it looks black in color, like a blackish color. So they use a I think some is it a fragrance dye or cosmetics dye, cosmetic dye that they use so that it doesn't dye your clothes, but it dyes the perfume oil. You know that I personally haven't figured. I haven't started playing around with that. Not that it's a different ball game, but I remember one supplier of mine, he said, "My man, ultimately we just want the smell, hey." I know it looks pretty and stuff, but you just want to smell good.
And what about allergies? Because I know some people who are allergic to it. As a business owner, those things that you need to, because it's like the testing.
Yeah.
You'll hear that some products are tested on animals. Yes. How, as an entrepreneur, how do you follow those governance so that you still are aligned to, like SABS stamps as an entrepreneur in perfume, how do you make sure that you sell something that a person will not come back they've burned from, and how do you keep around those?
I'll be honest. So with me on my side, I obviously have some disclaimer on the box to say, look, if irritation occurs, discontinue to use the product, because we all don't react the same way to a product, So that's basically what I tell my clients. If it doesn't work for you, discontinue,
Because also you would assume the places that are producing, they are the ones actually SABS approved. Yes. So you are going there actually trusting that they've ticked the boxes, because there's a scientific work around it
100%.
before those ingredients are tested. That's why they're using the freezing, the filters, where you don't have to worry about. I mean, it's like I look at all these celebrities who are having perfumes. They are not masters. They didn't even know. If anything, it's for their names. So okay, those are some of them.
So basically, the suppliers are actually compliant, and obviously with them being South Africa, SAPS approved. So because they are obviously they've got they are complying with all the regulations that they need to comply with. You're obviously confident in the fact that you won't have any or it'll be very little comebacks. In my personal experience, I've never had a comeback where someone said, "Oh, your perfume irritates my skin, I've stopped using it," and so on and so on. So
And then for you, obviously, this is a fragrance, cosmetics, beauty. It's a cash and carry business, because the minute you open the product, it's used, right? So people buy from you. Have you ever faced challenges? Have you been scammed before? No. So you sell, you pay me. I bring a product, you pay. There's no installments, there's no lay-bys. You don't have those prices.
Basically what I do, but it's now this is on a personal level. This is not for everyone. This
is for your friends. Those friends you were talking about.
I know you. I know you. I know you. Like this, I'd obviously say to them, what, my friend, let me just hook you up. You'll pay me month end, and I'm very specific. I say month end. I don't say whenever you write.
I'm collecting.
It's more right. I mean month end. Maybe be right. So I'm collecting my money, but I haven't had any challenges. I had like one small glitch, but it wasn't. So that's basically someone who took X amount of perfumes, like 3 perfumes, and they ended up paying for 2 because they were using the other one, but they did it. They said that they didn't like, but I know that it was just a story to try to not to pay me, But I was like, you know what? I guess maybe this is my school fees to say I should be less trusting to people who are doing. This is business. Yes.
So as Ebenezer, where do you see 5 years from now? What should we expect from you? So you've got Safi Fragrances. You're working this time. You are in logistics, material. You said handling material logistics. What can we expect from Ebenezer? You are 29. You're almost 30. I've always said 30 is the Christ age. Christ was also getting closer to the 30, 31 where it was his pinnacle. So for you, if we were to meet, or if someone were to ask me and say, "Hey, that young man, that mentee of yours, where is he now?" What should
so 5 years from now, obviously with my business, 5 years from now with my specific baby, this baby right now, Safi Fragrances, you should expect it to be obviously be distributed throughout Africa. That's actually my next strategy. Actually, I'm still doing my research on how to get my products out there. So if there's anyone listening and they're willing to distribute, in their African country, they can get in contact with me. We can sit down and we can talk some business and see how best we can leverage off each other's strengths. You see, so yeah, in terms of the perfume business, that's basically where I see it. I think in South Africa, in specific locations where there's a need, so I've picked up that, for example, people in Mpumalanga, they have to travel all the way to Joburg. So for me, it'll be me setting up something in a place like that, and obviously have an online store whereby my Joburg or people throughout the country can buy from, but in specific places where the competition is not a lot or it's very minimal, set up stuff there, because perfume is also an experiential product. You need to smell it. It's not like clothes and shoes where I'm like, this looks nice, I'm buying this. You want to smell it, So that's basically where I look at. And then I think 5 years from now, by the grace of God and through me working hard and through Him guiding me, I should be in business full time. I'm currently looking at getting into corporate clothing and promotional gifts. I think I once attempted. In fact, I didn't attempt. I felt like I left that business before I actually attempted it. And I think this is where you see that all things are work together for our good. I got an opportunity to be in B2B sales, so I know how to prospect, interact, send proposals, start conversations going. So I feel like the timing right now, it is so perfect because I know how to start a conversation whereby I'm selling a product to a business. So that's my obviously my next baby that should be up and running before the end of this year, whereby I'll be selling corporate clothing, mostly corporate clothing, some promotional gifts on request, but mostly it'll be corporate clothing, corporate branding, and yeah, I think those are my two focuses from now, and obviously other opportunities that are gonna arise. As well as I'm looking at, as well as getting into merchandising as well, because in the business the work that I do, my client base has actually been with wholesalers, and I feel like I'm in a position now where I can even approach some of these big brands and actually handle their merchandising with guys that I've established relationships with. The relationships are there. I just need to get the business now from some of these big corporates to them. So yeah, that's where I see myself.
Because we've talked about the business, personal side. How do you keep your body, mind, and soul all balanced?
Okay.
So I know you are into gym.
Yes.
You are into health.
Yes.
You are into, how do you ensure that you keep yourself? How can you talk to, if you were to say outside of the business, outside of the career, just to talk to that young man who's going through the worst of the worst? What are some of the things that you put in your life to make sure that life doesn't seem so difficult, but it can be lightheaded? So body, mind, and soul, what are some of the regimes that you do daily or weekly?
You don't have to be a prayer and meditation. By meditation I mean obviously meditating on God's word. So I don't want to lie to you, I don't know the other forms of meditation. Maybe I'm yet to learn them, but I don't. Reading as well. Reading.
You read a lot.
Yeah, reading motivational books. That's what works for me. Good self-help books, and obviously some good Christian literature as well. As well as keeping an active lifestyle. Going to the gym, jogging, running, or working out. But that's basically what I use to obviously keep a healthy body, mind, and spirit. Obviously I try my best. I don't get it right all the time, but I try my best to obviously incorporate some healthy eating. I think the biggest thing that I try to do and I've been consistent at it, is actually cutting down on sugar drastically. So you'd find that from on a Monday till a Thursday, I actually won't touch sugar. The only form of sugar I'll touch is a sugar that I eat from fruits or from honey. So I'll have my coffee with honey, or I'll have it black without sugar. I don't drink fizzy drinks. I won't drink juices. I'll just drink water. So and I'll try Monday to Thursday to keep it healthy. Make sure that I don't eat any junk. And then obviously from Friday till Sunday, I have a good time. So yeah, so that's basically the balance that I have. Not to lie and say that I'm living a 100% healthy lifestyle, but my lifestyle has a big part of, how can I put it, health element in it. Yeah.
So how do they get hold of you? You said you also on social media. Yes. You're on Instagram. Yes. Where else?
Can I give you my numbers?
If I wanted to order today, how do I get it? 100%. Is it okay to call you?
100%. So yes,
your business number. That
yes.
You use.
So you can either WhatsApp me or contact me on these numbers: 073-282-6142. Let me repeat them again: 073-282-6142. And then you can also as well as send me a DM on my social media platform on Instagram. Safi
SAFI
on
fragrance or fragrances.
Fragrance.
Okay, yeah. One word. Yes.
Yeah.
One fragrance
on Instagram. Underscore fragrance. On Facebook, it's Safi Fragrance as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants a delivery, there's also a delivery fee that will be charged. Nothing 100%. Gets there for free. 100%. So you can deliver. And so, okay, so that is Ebenezer, our guest for Push Culture podcast today, where we were discussing all things business from young, aspiring, not even aspiring, but young people who are already doing it. Yes. And for anyone out there who, you always think, is it early, is it too late? There's never a good time to start on your dreams and your visions. If anything, the time is now. And I think in more of in Africa and even around the world, we need to learn from each other. Learn from young people who are doing new things, going into new territories, trying businesses that have never been tried even before. I know that there's a lot of famous, influential people, but I'm not sure how many of them actually own the process, like you've just said. Yes. I think a lot of people, maybe they cut and paste in terms of their name, their brands, but we see a lot of it overseas, where people will walk you through the process. Yes. And some of the things you need to look at is building content around that. Yes. When you go to these factories, yes, mixing the perfume, that's more educational. Yeah. That's showing that your product is authentic. As you were saying, if it's aspirational, show us what you mean, so that I can see that, here's a bottle of perfume so-and-so, which is I can't afford, versus this one, Safi. Yeah. And sometimes put it, show the actual experience on people. You can also, there's so many things. You can partner with brands like food, fashion shows. Young people, finding yourselves young people who are in fashion, who are in art, music, and then getting people to start and then spreading the word out there, and using the community that you have in churches. Everyone wants perfume. Yeah. So that's the first place to start with numbers. Lots of church people, it's not as if they can't afford, but they're in that range that you are looking 100%. For. So it's a matter of pushing. So thank you for joining us, Ebenezer. We wish you all the best. Yes. I know personally that God has got so much big in store for you. Yes. Because you are focused, you are determined. As you're saying, it's action for you. And I think even after COVID, there is no perfect time for people to tap into their natural gifts, natural talents, natural things that they don't have to think about, and things that have to require even less money. Not every business requires millions and millions of capital investment. Yes. It just needs a great idea, determination, discipline, and you are out there and ready to start. So thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
You
Much
are.
appreciated.
I'm Gugulethu Nkutha, and thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast conversation, be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast with your fellow kingdom leaders. And congratulations again on showing up for yourself in leading your own purpose on earth and those of others. We hope to grow with you. For more information on me, you can go on all my social media platforms on Gugulethu Nkutha, on Instagram, Facebook, and even on Twitter. On YouTube, you can also find us. You can tag me on your Instagram stories if this really hit a chord with you. Thank you for joining me and looking forward to talking to you on the next podcast.